Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back. We are on day 5 of the holiday card series, and today I am playing with Pretty Pink Posh Joy stamp set. I absolutely love the festiveness of this die set with all of the extra little bits in it. So we're going to make a little bit of a masculine card today. So I'm going to grab my MISTI, and I'm also going to grab a totally non-traditional color. I'm going to use Kraft cardstock for this today. Usually I have a terrible time making masculine cards for the holidays because I want to make everything like really bright and pretty. But I also know I have male family members I need to give cards to. So I always have to keep that in mind. I went ahead and I lined up my stamp into my MISTI, and then I'll go ahead and press that down. Now for the ink today, I'm going to use the dark chocolate ink from Simon Says Stamp. This is one of my favorite brown colors of ink because it's really rich. Now this is a brand new stamp, so I do want to stamp this multiple times. And that is because I want to get the depth of the color. Now, I could have conditioned this stamp with the palm of my hand or a rag before I did this, but it's okay. I don't mind stamping this a few more times just so I can get the color that I need for this masculine card. All right, I inked this up 3 times in total just so I can get that really strong dark brown color. And I'm just going to push down to make sure everything is stamped out before I pull it out of my MISTI. Now, since we have that done, I'm going to bring in the coordinating dies with this. Now, what I love the most about this die is all the letters are connected. I love this design. To me, it's so much easier to cut something out if all the dies are connected. And thank you, Pretty Pink Posh, for making me happy today. I'm going to line that up, and I don't really think you can be too off with this die. I think it's pretty forgiving. I'll use myself some purple tape to tape down the corners, and I'm taping outside of the die as to not get anything to pull off when I run this through my die cut machine and pop it out. Now, as you can see, the die stays firmly in place, and I'm just going to gently and very gently pull back that purple tape and make sure not to rip this card panel. Now, the tape is not overly sticky, but I just want to be gentle when I do this. I can pull that off, and now I have the inners and the outer bits. I will push all of this aside because I want to do something with that background we have there. I'm going to also cut out the joy one more time out of some brown fun foam because I want this to have a little bit of depth on my card. So I'll run that right through my die cutting machine. And then I have a nice chocolate brown. Now, if you wanted to, you could easily just use a chocolate brown here and just have a very simple card. But I'm going to use this to pop up those letters a little bit later in our card panel. I do want to make sure I keep all the inner bits as well to make sure that I have everything to fill back in. Now I'll just match up those die cut letters with the coordinating stamped color letter, and we can get those to have a great build up on the card. I'm using some Hero Arts glue for this. And then all I have to do is lay down that first J, place it down, and I don't have to end up cutting this like several times out of paper. Just using this brown fun foam works magic. I've done this on several cards before, and I really like it. I'll go ahead and do the rest of these here. So I'll go ahead and do the O, and I'll go ahead and do the Y. Now, I was not stingy on the glue here. I want to make sure that this really adheres down. I'll lift that up, make sure I don't have any of the brown peeking out in areas that I don't want it. And sometimes, just a tip to let you guys know, sometimes your fun foam might squish down a little bit and flatten out. So just be mindful of that. I love the design of this already, but I do want to make sure that I keep those inner bits. Remember those pieces I said I had before? So this is the brown piece that I cut out, and then I'll just put that inner piece, and that's the inner piece of the O right there. I'll line that up as well, and I'll put all of this aside for a little bit later. All right, now I can go ahead and start working on that background panel. I'm going to grab out just a few of those additional images. You have a couple trees here, a couple leaves, you have a Santa's hat, a snowman, you also have an ornament and some holly, a bell, and then a couple of stars. So I'm going to grab one of the trees and two of the stars. Again, you guys hear me say a lot that I like odd numbers on things on my cards. So I'm going to use odd numbers on this one. I'm going to grab that same brown ink. I'll just scoot everything off to the side. I'll grab that same brown ink and I'm going to go all the way around this panel just with that design. Now, this is a great way to use some of those smaller images that you have in stamp sets. It's the perfect opportunity to pull those out and use them. I know a lot of times for me, I forget about the little bits and pieces that come into a stamp set. So this is a great way for you to use them and to create your own custom paper. So I'll stamp that around the joy and I'm making sure to turn my acrylic block so everything's not lined up in the same orientation. This gives a lot of interest as well to the back of your card panels. All right, so once I have all of that stamped, I'm just going to fill in the corner. And remember, when you're stamping like this, make sure your design runs off the paper. That's a great little tip as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and start making my card base before I move to anything else. I'm using Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock. This is my favorite for my card bases. And I'm also using the EK Success Tools scoreboard. You guys have seen me use this scoreboard in plenty of videos before, and it's absolutely my favorite. It sits right off to the left of me, so it makes my card easy, making and card creasing of my panels really, really simple. Now I will bring back in that panel and I'm just going to glue this down. Now I did trim this earlier before I ever started stamping on it so I can have a nice little white border around the outside. I will grab my Hero Arts glue again and go ahead and put that glue around and making sure to go inside and around those letters as well because I need those pieces to stick to the paper. Now remember, you can easily do this with any color combination that you can imagine. As long to me, if I'm doing a masculine card, I like to keep it in masculine colors. But look, if you want to send a pink card to a dude, go ahead and do it. It's crafting, it's card making. You do whatever your little heart desires. All right, so I'm going to hold down my card base and place that on top. And with using the wet glue, I have a little bit of wiggle room to make sure that my panel is on there straight. Now, before I even start inserting those other joy pieces back in, we're going to do a tad bit of coloring. I went ahead and grabbed two shades of green, and this is my polychromo pencils, and I'm just going to color up those trees. I want to have just a tad bit of color on the back of this card panel, and let just that color be the only thing I color today. I don't want to go in and color every little bit that's on the JOY. I just want the color to be sitting in the background today. So I just lightly go in to each little section of the tree and place down some color. And then I like to come in and do a little bit of shading. Now, you don't have to be a perfectionist over the shading because these images are really tiny anyway. But I'm just making sure to add a little bit of shading to opposite sides of each one of these trees. Sometimes I do it on the right, sometimes I do it on the left. And then I go right back in with that lighter green and blend all that out. And this is just going to give me that cute little bit of shading that I want, but I'm not really fussing a lot with it. Next, I will come in with two shades of brown, and I'll make sure to link below the colors of the pencils that I use, just in case you guys want to make this card as well. I'll color in with the lighter brown, and then again, just adding a little bit of that shading on the trunks of the trees. Now, I did make sure to put the shading on the same side that I did the shading on the top of the tree. So just be mindful of that. Now, since I have that done, it's time to really start assembling our card. So look how pretty that looks against just that touch of green in the background. I will go ahead and grab that Hero Arts glue one more time, put some on the back. And again, I'm being very generous with this because I really want these letters to stay in place. And when I pop that in, what is so great about this is that your eye still goes towards the joy. It doesn't get lost with the trees in the background. It's like the trees just give it a nice bit of color to tell you, hey, look at this gorgeous joy we got going on here. I do want to make sure I get down that little bit of that Y to make sure that that is not popped up when I go to mail it. And then I'll go ahead and place in that last piece. Now, this is a super easy card to recreate. Super, super easy. You can stamp all your backgrounds out at once, start an assembly line where you just die cut everything, stamp out your backgrounds, and then do your coloring. Now, if you wanted to do this in different colors, go for it. Now, I did realize that I did not want that piece in the middle popped up. So I'm going to very carefully, and I mean very carefully, pull back that extra brown foam piece. I want that inner piece to be down, like inlaid into that little O. So I just needed to peel that off, and then I can put some glue directly onto the card base itself and then stick that piece back in. As you can see, this was a super easy card to put together. You could easily mass produce this by stamping all the joy first, then die cutting, stamping out your background, coloring, and just start an assembly line with it. All right, everybody, that is a wrap. I will see you guys back here soon, but wait until you see the inspiration for tomorrow. And don't forget to comment. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.